And then how often and how those are updated, who knows? And that may not necessarily even be AI. It may just be math, right? Like some baseline number that takes inflation into account. Like that's not really, I mean, it's data science, but it's not sophisticated, right? Diffio says, "Oh, never mind. I thought you had to put all the previous prompts together." I did, but the prompts are our creation, not ChatGPT's creation, right? So taking it to ChatGPT wouldn't prove anything. We could take it to any engine, right? Starry Vibe says, "Hello, sir. I hope you're doing well. Our heartfelt apologies. May God grant you strength and patience through a difficult time." Starry Vibes, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate that. Are you logged into Grok with the same account you use for X? That feels like a bad idea. Is there another way? Is there another way to do that? Like you kind of have to do that, don't you? Because I get the Grok premium or whatever because of my X account, right? Rukshana, welcome back, says, "I need to know the type of data fed into their AI and which data the guardrails will block from getting your parents the help they need." Rukshana, that's where it gets a little bit more complex, right? And this is what I'm referring to these poor processes that these insurance companies have, right? Because one, that process is not known. They are not transparent about that process, right? Poorly run companies are rarely transparent. And again, we don't know that it's AI. I mean, my guess, the way I've seen other construction type of apps is that it's usually on an iPad and they walk around and they say, "Oh, I measured here, that's 10 feet. That I measured here, that's 20 feet." And they just put in like the measurements, and then the software itself has like a lookup table or a database or something else that says, "Oh, you told me 20 feet. 20 feet equals $100," or whatever the case may be. So one, that's not AI. And two, if there is an algorithm, it's how are they getting those numbers from the lookup table? And then the question is more about, well, how often are they updated? Who updates them? What are they update based on? Right? My guess is that they just use like an inflation number or something like that, right? But that's just my guess, and that's only one possible approach. But I say that because those types of industries and computer packages and all that, they haven't caught up to AI, right? That those companies are not early adopters of AI. So at best, it's machine learning. At best, but it's probably just like some baseline factor times the rate of inflation times maybe a small adjuster for the zip code. Or, it takes into account sales tax because sales tax is different from county to county in the US. But it's probably not more sophisticated than that. That's my guess, right? And then here's the thing, right? On top of everything I just told you, they know what the maximum payouts of the policies are. Are insurance companies motivated to pay you more or pay you less? Right? So who's to say that no matter what their algorithms say, even if it was the world's most sophisticated AI, who's to say that they don't have internal policies about maximum payouts? Right? In other words, they could still have their thumb on the scale, as we say, right? There'd be no way for you to know that. So think about that, guys, right? There's still that human element there. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to show this to Gemini. Let's go with Gemini, guys, okay? Um, just to be fair, I think we can still piece elements of the previous prompts. Yeah. So I'm going to give Gemini a portion of the prompt just to set up the scenario, right? Okay, so here's the key, guys. The key in this and the whole point of like the framework that I'm proposing is that now we're going to ask Gemini to be the insurance company. That's the role we're going to assign to this third engine to help us further refine the document, right? So the second half of what I'm writing here, is that big enough for you guys to see? Let me make that bigger. So this last sentence here is kind of like what we're after, right? We want it to kind of act as like an adversary, right? Because we want to front run the things that they could say, right? So let's go ahead and add it. I believe it's this one. Yep, this is the better one. And we're basically saying, hey, look, this is what happened. This is the memo I have. This is what I prepared, right? You're the insurance company. How do you tell me no? How do you deny me here? Okay? Let's see what Gemini says. And then as you can probably guess, we're going to take this result and we're going to go back to Grok and say, hey, the insurance company said this. Can you please fix our memo? And we go from there, right? We can also be asking it to be a judge or be an arbitrator, right? Here is a response. Thank you for rebuilding it. Several points that require further clarification. Okay. Okay, so coming back to the questions that people were asking earlier, it looks like Xactimate and Marshall and Swift are some of the software packages that are used in the industry. That's what Gemini is telling us. It's telling us that the demolition debris is too high, right? And additional features. We need to verify the original specification of these items. Okay. 15% contingency is common. We need to carefully examine the scope of work. Okay. Local codes and upgrades. Okay. What do you guys think? It seems like a fairly reasonable reply, but there's very few like specific like this line item is incorrect. It's saying that the debris removal is a little high, right? That there could be a lower removal cost. That's about the only item that I'm seeing here that is kind of sticking out. And then it's also saying, well, you're using Xactimate, or excuse me, you're using constructelements.com. We're using Xactimate. Is that a good argument? Maybe, maybe not. So what I want to do is I want to take this and we're going to show it to Gemini, right? Or excuse me, to Grok, right? Can't I copy this? I thought there was a way to copy it. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now, hello, Grok. We heard back from the insurance company. This is what they said. And again, this is the key. Please refine the original memo to address these concerns ahead of time. Please change any sources that you might need to change based on their reply, because that's really one of the main arguments, right? That we're using different sources. I'm kind of okay with that because the software that Gemini is referencing, it's private, right? It's private. It's probably not available to individuals, right? But let's see. Let's see what Grok says. We're gonna take off the sincerely and the intro. That's really not 100% needed. Yeah, this. I heard back there. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what Grok says. Alicia says, this is amazing exercise applicable to so many things. This video will help so many people. Thank you for sharing this, even being something so hard to go through. Thank you, Alicia. I hope so too. You know, and if there's any families, you know, that were affected by this fire, because I did post this live stream in a fire survivors group. You know, I hope it helps them. I hope it helps people in the future, right? Because, you know, so many companies now are picking on the little guy, right? But we have AI tools to fight back. So yeah, I hope it will be helpful. Thank you, Alicia. Fabricio says you should use exact analysis, Swift, and talk with an adjuster to know the estimation. I don't know, Fabricio. Should we? Here's the thing, Fabricio. If we go back and we use their software, we use another adjuster, or you go back, you know, you kind of go down that road, you're not fighting from an informed position, right? Because what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you, oh, well, you have different software settings than we do. Yes, you're using the same one, but it's a different software, right? Like, you're giving them ways to fight back. But here, if I say, look, I took a fresh look at this and I'm giving you sources from 2025, right? Then you're talking from a position of, tell me how this is wrong, right? It's almost like it's too even to go and use their same software. Like, you want to present something that's inherently different, right? Like, I don't want to use the software that they've already used. Like, you kind of want to avoid that. Let me know what you guys think about that. But from a strategic perspective, I don't want to meet them where they're at. I want them to tell me how somebody else is wrong, right?